Hello, hello, and welcome to the new Egee Wrap-Up Show. That's right, it is a wrap-up show, a podcast of sorts. I'm guessing the name will change at some point, but I'm calling it the Wrap-Up Show because I threw it together in a weekend, like I threw the concept together in a weekend. And it's Wednesday today, and I'm just now getting around to recording it. And I've written a lot, and this isn't so much a scripted podcast, but I have a lot of notes because we're going to be here for a while. This is a video, or I guess a video format that I'm calling a show, where I'm going to riff about my various projects and things that I've got going on, because I do a lot of stuff, and I have a lot of communities that I'm part of, and not everybody knows. This is my OG channel, and I recently changed the name, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, but it seems like a good place to post update videos like this sort of thing, and I'd like to get in the habit of doing it monthly. So this is the Egee Wrap-Up Show for October 2023. So the format of the show is going to be something like this. You've got my mug down near the bottom or at the bottom of the screen with a list of topics nearby and a nice vintage TV set right in the middle where I can show off things. I didn't consider it when I was putting this together, but it's actually very similar to my good friend PDX KCM's old live stream format. He had a TV in the middle too. The color and design and overall art will likely change over time, but this is what I whipped up over the weekend, so yeah. So I've been posting updates and just random musings and thoughts on Mastodon. So I do these sorts of updates various places at various stages, but I haven't done an update video, and that's kind of what this is going to be. So let's talk about the channel and the fact that I'm making this is probably going to be an hour, I'm guessing, somewhere in the neighborhood of an hour-long video where I'm just kind of talking to you. I haven't made a video like this in quite a long time, and I don't feel like I've really made a video, a real video for whatever that is worth in meaning, in a pretty long time. The last Distro Delve for the year, I think it's season 5 is what I was calling it, is all the way back in February, and that was a while ago. It's October now. And Distro Delves hasn't really been Distro Delves since season 2, and if it's season 5, then that was quite a number of years ago, right? So a lot has changed, and a lot has changed just this year. The biggest being, this is partly what I do now. This is kind of my part-time job. I lost my full-time job all the way back in March, and I've been unemployed ever since. Well, I don't want to say I've been unemployed. I've been freelancing and being unemployed, I guess, ever since, but I think in September I started looking at YouTube as a part-time job and really committing myself to working on high-quality content every week. So now I'm looking at this channel and thinking, can I do something similar? And if it works out, then great, I'll keep making cool content and everybody will be happy. And with that said, for folks who would like to lend a hand for support, stay tuned towards the end of the video where I'll talk about Patreon and some other stuff. And a fun bit of trivia before we get into the actual segments and topics. This month is the channel's birthday. That's right, weirdly enough, October 14th, 2014 is when I made this channel. And when I finally post this video, this will be the 51st. Yes, 551th video on the channel. So that's actually pretty cool. And weirdly, I actually started the Distro Delves series in October. So if this wrap-up show ends up becoming an enduring thing, kind of like Distro Delves, I will have started both of those series in October, which is weird serendipity. But anyway. All right, so in terms of channel performance for this channel, I haven't been doing much besides just gaming videos, and those aren't very popular, so it's been just kind of stagnant. Now, the thing is, those gaming videos are pretty cathartic, and I've been making them because I do part-time high-quality content on Egee ASMR, so I want to come over here and just make some super easy, fun content. And I like video editing. It's actually, producing content, producing videos is legitimately fun for me to do. So if people tune in for the gaming stuff, then, bonus. So much to the chagrin of my audience, those gaming videos, they're here to stay. People really seem to object to them. I lose at least one subscriber for each of those videos that I post. I don't know why, but, well, I mean, I do know why. People don't like them. People tune in for the tech stuff. And, if you want to bail because you're not into gaming videos, that is totally fine. And as I kind of rejuvenate the channel, kind of make my comeback to the channel, I don't really want to be a Linux or tech or even like a gaming channel. I just want to be Egee's channel. And if people don't dig that, then that's fine. Take your vibes elsewhere. And speaking of losing subscribers, we're down over 100 subscribers this year and down 27% in views compared to last year. All of my current top videos are from years ago, and my current top video is my top 5 open source games video from last year, and it's getting only about 50 views a day. Now, I do plan to remake that video this year, so hopefully we can have a different contender for first place. Now, Distro Delves has been dead for a while, and I mean, the thing is, the show has never really got very good, ratings, like views and feedback from comments and things like that. It's like the people that did watch it, they weren't happy with one thing or another. And the latest episode, the one that I released earlier this year, it picked up a single sub. It made about $2 and it has about 1,500 views. And I think that one was actually pretty good. Like, I've learned a lot from doing Distro Delves over the years, and I applied them to that, and I thought that it was a pretty good video. And I mean, 1,500 views isn't anything to sneeze at, but I mean, I put a lot of work into those. They're not easy to produce. I'd usually do it on live hardware, and it's just, I don't know. Distro Delves was, in my mind, it was originally made for the audience, and it was never really my thing, which is probably why I never particularly enjoyed making them to begin with. Instead, I think when I do future tech videos like Distro Delves, which I don't know if I'm going to keep the name, but when I do it, I'm going to focus on what I'm interested in. So we've talked about gaming, we've talked about Distro Delves and tech stuff. This podcast style video, and I want to take the audio from this video and send it over to Spotify so you can listen to it anywhere. I'll talk about that later. But the idea kind of came to me over the weekend. I wanted to do an update video to tell you guys about what I have planned for the channel, kind of build up some hype, and it's grown into this whole thing that, like I said, I know it's going to take a while to get through it, so I might as well turn it into a podcast. And I've been writing for like 2 or 3 days. It's a little out of control, but I'm happy I'm working through it. The thing is, I usually post this kind of stuff on Mastodon, like I said earlier, Mastodon, Discord, sometimes on Patreon, and Patreon recently had an update. It makes posting stuff there was already a little arduous, but their latest update makes a post take like 2 or 3 pages. Like, it's basically 2 or 3 clicks on top of what it's just. I don't know. Patreon is a good service. I just wish that they would stop changing it. Like, they've rebranded it, I think 3 times. Like, just why? But anyway, I am I don't know if I'm a video content creator. I think I'm more of an audio content creator anymore, but my tool set is video. I actually do a lot of audio editing in Kdenlive, which is technically a video editor. I'd call it a media editor. Like, it can do a lot of things, but the tools and frameworks that I'm used to are for video editing. So if I want to sit down and update you guys on what's going on, I might as well do it like this. And a lot of people like to listen to my voice. I have ASMR going on over on my other channel. So like, you want to put this on, and at some point I'll hopefully have a whole bunch of these so you can listen to a whole playlist of Egee ramble about just nothing. So the video I am most fond of for this channel is the one where I fix my car's window motor. And this isn't something I would normally do on the channel, but working on cars is a hobby of mine, and I've renamed and rebranded and everything. I think it did pretty well in terms of views, but I guess the thing is that it was really fun to produce, and it only took me a couple hours to record the whole thing and produce it and publish it. That was something I was going to do anyway, because I needed to mess around with the windows, so I'll just bust out my phone and record it and show you guys, and you left some fun comments, and that's my favorite thing about YouTube and like the community is people provide feedback and they say, wow, that was a boneheaded idea. And I'm like, I know it. It's fun. That's what I like. And I love to see it. So if you have thoughts that you want to bring your comments and good vibes, feel free to leave them. So before we talk about the ASMR channel, let's talk about some name changes that I've been doing. I changed this one to Egee's Hobbies. See, I'd actually been talking about, or I guess teasing, some name changes on Mastodon for a little while, and it was like over the weekend, and I briefly named this channel to Egee XYZ, What I'm going to wind up doing is combining Moto EG and OG EG to make EG's hot. Well, that's what I've done. I guess there is no I'm going to do it. I have already done it. The funny thing is that this makes it a spiritual successor to the channel that basically started my whole YouTube career, which is Brian's projects. A version of that channel still exists today out there. It has 600 subscribers, but there was an older one that I accidentally deleted when Google Plus was a thing. I wanted to close my Google Plus thing. I don't remember what I was trying to do, but I accidentally closed everything and it killed the channel, and it was a total disaster. But I saved some of those videos and I put them up on that channel, but that channel is long and active. I haven't done anything on it for a while. I guess the naming convention jumped from Brian's projects to EG's something with EG's Archives, which is a channel I made a long time ago just to upload old junky videos and things. And then I had EG Nuevo that became Moto EG, and I guess that channel is just going to kind of atrophy. I'm not going to do anything with it because the content is, the formats are moving to this channel, not the content. The videos that are there, they're going to stay there. And likewise with the naming changes, OpenEG, which was never meant to be the permanent name for the channel, has become EG's ASMR. My thought here is that it would be similar to the way that I name my EGs. So I have Floofy EG, I have Field Medic EG, and now you've got EG's Hobbies and EG's ASMR, and I guess EG's Archive too. And that makes for a good segue to talk about EG's ASMR, which is the main channel. This channel used to be the main channel, and it has more subs, I guess, but the other channel is way more active, and it has supporters, and there's a lot more going on over there, so it is definitely my main channel. And it's doing super well, and it's growing in all of the right ways, but I think the important thing is that I'm still growing in all of the right ways. I'm a content creator, so I think it's important for me to continue to get better at my skills and crafts. I guess what I'm trying to say is the main reason why I created that channel was to grow as a content creator, get better at audio editing, at pushing my own comfort levels and doing things I wouldn't normally do. And I'm still growing in that regard. I'm still getting better. I feel like every video that I produce is better than the previous video, and people seem to agree with that. So I'm doing well. Having the channel's mission, my own mission, being focusing on my own growth as a content creator colors the medium of my content. So it gives it a particular style and finish that is very unique. And I think that's why people tune in. I just finished this week's hour-long video yesterday, and it's up for early access for members and patrons, but I don't know when I will release this podcast, because it's going to take, if this podcast is an hour long, that means I have to listen to it for an hour, and I'm doing cuts all over the place, so it's probably going to be 2 hours to edit this thing. I don't know when I'm going to get around to it. I hope that I can release it the same week as the video that's in early access right now. It'd be really cool to release 2 videos on Friday, but I'm asking a lot from my poor ears here. So I've also been trying to meet the 1 supporter video a week goal that I have for myself, and I've done great this month. I have 4 supporter videos, and we're not even through the month of October yet. So I'm doing it. And I've got 1 more spooky roleplay with an EG character I haven't used yet, and I'm super excited to do it. It's not what I would call horror ASMR, but hopefully I can find a middle ground between spooky and relaxing, and I think I can, and I think people are going to like it. And that wraps up for the channel update segment. Now we can move on to EG's updates, just like what I've been doing outside of channel stuff. And I've been doing not a whole lot this month. Well, in some ways. This summer was really eventful with outdoor activities and just kind of things going on. I wanted to keep it quiet, but it didn't end up working that way. I like to get outside and do a lot of hiking, and I haven't done any this month. But last month, I went on a number of hikes. I went up to Saddle Mountain in the Pacific Coast Range in Oregon, took some great pictures up there. Got some drone footage, but it's really washed out, and it's not good. Also made it out to Ecola Beach, out by Cannon Beach, and we went down Indian Beach Trail there and got some really, really good pictures. I got some really good drone footage here, but then I took it down because I don't know exactly what the rules are about posting drone videos and stuff, and I didn't realize there's so much liability for doing drones, not drone stuff, but posting pictures and videos. And I just I delisted it because I need to do more research before I go down that route. I don't want to get myself or anybody in trouble. In terms of music, I wrote some demos and posted a few of them to SoundCloud, which is where I post most of my music. I share a lot of my really raw demos and stuff in the supporter Discord, but the 2 public ones that I posted on SoundCloud, the one I'm most proud of is called Ether, and I was actually in a call with a friend when I wrote this, so that makes it like super special. It's a cool little ethereal piece. It doesn't mean anything in particular. I was just kind of noodling away and I found these notes and I thought it sounded cool with the delay effect in the background. So it's my TC flashback pedal with the feedback jacked up to the max. And I don't remember which setting I was using, but it was good. I really should write this stuff down. I don't write any of this down. I just play it and maybe I record it, but a lot of times I just like move on. And if it comes up while I'm playing again, then like, cool. I put up another little demo practice that features me doing a little singing, or I guess humming, really. I think it's the first song music piece where I'm using my voice. So that was cool. I've been thinking about doing little music events in Discord where I jam out in a room where people can listen. I haven't decided where I'm going to do it, but I think when I do it, it's just going to be in a voice call where I'm the only one that can broadcast and people can just like kind of listen and leave feedback if they want. But I think I'm going to do that pretty soon. It's been on my mind for a while. So on the art front, I haven't done a whole lot because I've been focusing on other endeavors. A big one was writing. Last month, I wrote well over 6,000 words. 6,000? I wrote a lot of words describing Egee's Egeeverse and the world he lives in. It's like his universe. It lets me put all my characters in a living world that I can work with when I come up with role plays or like anything with them, basically. It's not much different from the make-believe play that you used to do with like your toys. Like I had G.I. Joes when I was a kid. Like it's the same kind of idea. It's like your own headcanon for your own characters. That's it. I wrote a new character while I was putting it together too. It is a space captain Egee that kind of came out of a live stream that I did, I think like a month or 2 ago. It was just kind of a funny thing that was suggested. And I had been thinking about a futuristic Egee for a while. So these ideas combine and then poof, meet Privateer Egee. He's going to be one of the main, if not the main, Egees in the Egeeverse. He's got a really cool backstory. I'm going to post about it on Patreon here this week. The artwork is by my amazing friend Merlin, and you can see he's quite a bit different from other Egee characters we've made. Privateer Egee is a canonical Egee, and he takes place about 100 years after BF Egee, which is another popular character of mine. His timeline is like postmodern future. It's a bit pretty futuristic. I mean, like we're going into space doing all kinds of stuff. And it's colored by the sci-fi games I played. So I'm like really excited to explore it. I've got a roleplay for this boy planned next month, so you can learn more about him then as well. I got a piece of fan art this month from Sushi to Fox. It's a super cute piece gifted to me by Sushi in EGIO the Discord, and they recently started making ASMR on YouTube, and they go by Sushi Fox 0 on social media, or they seem to. This little piece is really, really cute, and thank you so much for it, Sushi Fox. I remember mentioning this on Mastodon when I posted about the fan art, but Egee's current ref sheet was made to look like GIMP is in the background, and you can see Wilbur there. The fan art that Sushi made captures that really, really well, and that makes it extra special. So now on the coding front, shifting gears here, I made progress on a lot of things this month, really quickly too. I had been putting it off, and then I sat down and just did it. I've had a lot of little projects going on over the years, and a lot of them redundant, so I had a habit of getting confused and forgetting which project had been deprecated by another, and it was just like a mess. I categorized my projects and came out with 4 core hobby projects and 2 projects that support my freelancing work, so really whittled things down. My 4 hobby projects are basically 2 games that I make content with. Like with Jumper, I've made a video about Jumper, and Egee Sandbox, I have been meaning to make a video about that, but I haven't. It's published on itch, I just haven't done anything with it. The other ones are Distro Delves, of course, and a little game launcher that I made a long time ago called Messy Drawer. And what it does, it's basically it's like Lutris, but lighter weight and written in Electron. I haven't done anything with it because Lutris is so good. I don't really have much of a use for it, so it just kind of sits there. So there's a pretty good chance it could get replaced by something else. So like, I have another game. I have a third game I'm thinking about bringing up, but it's still very early in thought development, as it were. The other two core projects I've got is a CLI called oectl. It's a command line tool for deploying and provisioning cloud services for my freelance work. So I do like private server hosting and things like that. Instead of doing it all by hand, I just wrote a tool to do it. And then clerkd is a type of cron. It's a custom thing, and it supports my work. It fits my workflow. Both projects are private. Clerk will go open source at some point, but it's still a little early. oectl probably won't because it's largely configuration code like Ansible and Terraform and things, and there's no reason for it to go open source. Like, it's a core CLI that plugs into provisioning stuff, and it's not useful by itself, and I would have to document it and maintain it. For my websites, I'm in the process of converting them to WordPress, but I'm not 100% sold on using it. I started using WordPress as a freelancing thing, and I can see why people specialize in just WordPress, and I don't know if I want that. My old sites were static, and they were hosted out of S3 and used CloudFront as like a web server and used certificates built into CloudFront. Like, it was a pretty novel design, but you can't do that with WordPress because WordPress requires it has to be processed, so it needs like a server that's running. And you can use hosted solutions and stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if AWS had a hosted solution, but I don't want to do that. And adjacent to the WordPress stuff, or maybe even related to it, is I have Egee Shop now. I have an online store where you can buy stickers and other Egee merch. Right now, the current Egee merch that isn't a sticker is a mouse pad, and it is a very cool mouse pad. I'm using it right now, as a matter of fact. This is a store I built with Shopify, so it's not like a out-of-the-box store with Spring or Spreadshirt or something like that. It's like, it's custom. I guess as custom as it can be with Shopify. I'm really intimidated. It launched last month, and I'm really intimidated by it because there's still so much I don't know about online retail. I had some issues with payment processing, like specifically with PayPal last month, and it was earlier this month, actually. And the website builder is really cool, but it's complex and it takes a lot of my time and energy, but it's really fun. And coming up with merch ideas is also really fun, and it helps support the channel. So yeah, absolutely. I'm going to keep doing it. It's built with Shopify, and Shopify is a pretty premium. I mean, in e-commerce world, it's like, I think it's the top dog, but it's kind of expensive. On the flip side, there's WooCommerce, which is built into WordPress, and my websites use WordPress. So the issue I have with WooCommerce and WordPress is that it feels really janky. And I don't want, God forbid, a storefront where people are going to be like buying stuff and it has to be fulfilled and everything. I don't want that to be janky. I mean, that would be the worst. Part of what makes Shopify so appealing to me is all of the integrations. I can automate the entire thing from start to finish. It looks like with WooCommerce you can, but you have to plug into like third APIs, and it's way more work. And I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know. I'll probably stick with Shopify, but it shouldn't change the user experience. Like, the store is still going to be at egee.shop, which is such a great domain, and you'll still be able to buy stuff from there. Pretty soon, either next week or next month, I'm going to be releasing a few new items. I'm thinking of a desk mat idea and a candle. I don't know. It's all really fun. Like, what would an Egee candle smell like? And eventually I'd like to sell custom items. This is like through Printify sort of stuff, but a custom item, maybe like a plushie. People have asked me already about Egee plushies, and I mean, yeah, I would love to do something like that, but we're a little early. The store's been up for a month, and I don't even know where to start sourcing something like that. So once I get more experience and I get my feet under me, I will look for people that do that kind of thing and see about working a business relationship. All right, now it's time to talk about my games log or gamer log or game catalog. I don't know what I'm going to call this section, but it's important, and let me explain why. I added this section because I know that gaming is my least popular topic, and it's my most interesting, it's my most, my own personal most popular topic. I'm interested in my own thoughts about games and stuff. Like sometimes I'm thinking of a game and I'm like, why do I play this? And as I'm working through it, I'm like, you know what? That's the thing I like, or that's the thing I don't like. And that's a fun self-discovery sort of thing. This channel is for my own enjoyment, and it is my channel. I want to produce stuff that I enjoy, and I enjoy a good bit of gaming, darn it. So if gaming ain't your thing, consider this a break in the show, or use chapters to jump ahead. That's something I want to figure out how to do. So I got to keep these segments on point, and this is the gaming segment. So now let's talk about gaming. There are a few different ways I thought of slicing this segment up, and I'm just gonna, the games are just like kind of tossed in here. I don't know what I was thinking when I placed them this way, but this is how we're gonna do it. So starting from the top, 7 Days to Die. I've been doing videos about this game on the channel recently, and I think I'm on day 3. I've had one follower leave really great comments on the video, and that's Zero. And Zero's left some really great comments in general, and I appreciate that. 7 Days has been an interesting experience. I'm going to say I don't like it, to be totally honest. And I'm going to make a video about on day 7. I'm probably going to skip to day 7 and make a video about it. Because I don't know. I think this might be the last. I usually play 7 Days to Die in October. I used to play it all the time. Not that I wasn't a big, huge player of it, but I used to play it a lot, and I just like to play it. It's a fun game. And then maybe I started to play it out, so then it became a event game that I'd play with friends around October. And last year I played Duo throughout October, and it was really, really fun. But the thing is, it wasn't fun because of the game. I thought it was, like, the game is fun. I'm going to shut Egee down right there and say, let me save this ramble for the 7 Days video, because I can already tell I'm getting going, and we need to shut that down and move on to the next game, and that game is Brutal Doom. Now, I haven't played this game yet, and I play it all the time. When I remember to play it, like when I'm jonesing for it, I'm going to play it. And it's a very visceral, violent, brutal game. And I'm always a little cautious about playing it on the channel because not everybody loves blood and gore. And actually, I don't really like blood and guts and gore, but I love this game. I like Doom. I like being at the helm and destroying all of these like monsters and evil creatures and watching jibs fly over the place. It's a really good game. The Brutal Doom mod has some notoriety, but it is a solid mod, and it's been around for a long time, and the mod is moddable, so there's a lot you can do with it. And there's so many different WADs and maps and things for Doom that, I mean, this game will live on forever. I might stream it on the channel, like this channel, tomorrow, but even outside the stream, like I've played it, so that's a game. A game that I did play on stream was Alien vs. Predator with mods. I play Alien vs. Predator Classic, 2000 Classic, AVP 2000. I play every year around October, and I've been streaming it every year around October for years. And I had never seen the Redux, the classic Redux mod. I streamed it, and I didn't play it too much because it broke the Marine campaign, which is my favorite. It's like why I play the game. I played Predator, and it was okay, but the beginning of it was so janky. I don't know how this person modded the engine, but some things are really good. Some things are basically unplayable. But the thing that I unfortunately realized is I think that this might be it for Alien vs. Predator and me. It didn't have the same charm as it has. And that makes me sad because AVP is kind of a childhood game of mine, and I've always enjoyed playing it, but between the controls and the graphics haven't really aged well, and the Redux mod didn't help. That, like, it changed it, but a big problem with these enhancement mods is they upscale the textures, and the game was never meant to have high quality textures. So it just, like, everything is very blocky and weird, and having high quality textures makes it worse. And that may have broke it for me. It's still a fun game and everything, but I don't know. I may have gotten to the point where I've played it enough and I'm ready to move on. Unfortunately, another game in that category is Interstellar Marines. I know my friend Teal would be very sad to hear that, but I played Interstellar for an ASMR stream and I got jump scared, and it was fun, but I've realized that it's lost its charm. It's just a first person shooter. It's still very innovative, especially for the time. Interstellar Marines is a indie game that is, for all intents and purposes, dead. It ran out of funding, and I don't even think you might be able to still get it, but I mean, like, it's fun. It doesn't do anything groundbreaking as of 2023, but at the time it was very cool. But yeah, sadly, this might be time to put what's that? Roll the casket away or something like references. It is Halloween, so I guess there's that. The next game on the list, Alien Isolation. I'm actually starting to get worried this game might lose its charm too. It's a game that's based around spookies, and it is definitely spooky, but it's not that spooky for me anymore. I like the Alien. I like aliens, if you couldn't tell. Like Interstellar Marines, it's not really aliens, but it's set in a sci-fi world. Alien versus Predator, and then Alien Isolation. I like the aliens from Alien Isolation, like the alien, I guess, because he's not as fragile. The aliens in AVP just like break apart if you sneeze at them. But Alien Isolation, he feels very tough and scary, and that's good. Game is absolutely beautiful, and it's a native Linux game, but it's one of those you just play it on Windows mode because it runs a bit better. But it holds up today. It's really good. But I think I might be getting to the point where I've played it out, and that makes me sad. It's a good game. I didn't realize it, but I guess I played a number of old games with mods, a number being like a 2, I guess. Or 3 if you include Brutal Doom. This one is Deus Ex 1 Revision. I think I got this from Steam or like a workshop. I can't remember where I got this, but I played it and I don't know, man. It's weird. I think it's another one of those examples where when you increase the resolution, you realize how, not broken isn't the right word, but just how janky and messed up a game feels. Like the world of Deus Ex, I don't even know. Like I can't think of what bothers me about it, but it's not good. I don't really have much to say about Deus Ex Revision because it's a game that I played. Deus Ex has a very special place in my heart, and so special that I don't know if I'll ever even make a video about it because it's just deep. But this revision mod is weird. Maybe I'll make a video about the mod. Uncanny, that's the word. It's just uncanny and it's weird. Oh, Iron Lung, I played that on stream and I somehow friggin' beat it. I do not know how I pulled it off, but I got to the end and I saw the end. I'm not going to show it here because it's like once you beat it, and you're not doing yourself a favor by seeing the end. If you want to beat it, just beat it. Very difficult game. I was being kind of silly and betting on math, thinking that I would get jump scared, but it never happened because my math never failed me. So the game is based on using grid coordinates and like angling the sub so that you don't run into stuff. And I just did that. And I guess I don't trust my calculations, so I assumed I would mess it up, but I never did. So cool. I got to the end of that and people liked it. And Iron Lung was a gift from my friends. I'm really happy that I was able to get the most value out of that. It's really, really cool. And another spooky, scary game I did on stream. I'm on Observation Duty 6. Why did I play this on stream? Why you play horror games on an ASMR stream? I do not know. But it's really fun and people really seem to like it. I don't think I got any big jump scares on this one, but the whole game is just really creepy. You have to bounce between different cameras and look for things that are anomalies. So like something has moved or something's been added to the scene or There's a ghost, just like weird stuff, but you have to report it in a certain amount of time and you have to really pay attention. I thought that no, actually I did have a lot of help. I think a user named Excalibur helped me a great deal on stream. And I couldn't have done it without chat. So very fun game. I guess you'd call it a horror puzzle game, and a game I would absolutely recommend. And another game I played with the community is Armello. This was a big surprise. I wasn't not expecting to like it, but it's a really cute little board game that has anthros. You pick a character, and that character has different attributes and perks. And the board is it reminds me a lot of Catan with its hexagons hexagon squares, what am I saying? Anyway, you move your character from place to place on the grid, and you use cards in your hands. There could be spells, they could be like trickery things, and you cast them on your opponents. And the goal of the game is to have the highest prestige or to defeat the king who has been corrupted by this stuff called rot. The thing I like about it the most is that there's no right play style. You can go all attack and just go straight for the king. You can just focus on prestige. You can focus on survival, which is what I do. You could just go around collecting treasure. You could just play however you want. Matches are a bit long, at probably an hour, especially if people are planning out their moves. But it's fun to just play with friends. It's 4-player. I think we had up to three people playing one time. And the last game I'll mention here in the list is Firewatch. And it's not that I've played Firewatch recently, but I've been using it for floofy Egee scenes, and it works really well. I just hop in and start going and end up at a place that looks really cool and say, hey, this is where floofy Egee and the audience member is going to be. And pow. Firewatch is an older game now, but it's by Campo Santo, and it's just like a first-person adventure story game. And it's known for its art style. Just kind of faffing around and looking at stuff, I've realized it has really, these aren't critiques of the game. These are just like me critically analyzing it. It has really poor sound design, and the way that they get the visual style is they apply filters at various times during the day. So when it's transitioning from afternoon to evening, it switches from kind of a blue filter to a red filter, and it doesn't fade, it just switches. So I had to account for that when I filmed for Floofy Egee. I was like, oh man, I have to blend it. And it ended up being fine, but that was just kind of a funny thing to notice when the curtain is pulled back and you can see the magic behind the scenes. It's all just filters. And it's a Unity game, so I don't know if that makes it easier or harder to do those filter things. It's kind of clever. And now let's have a chat about a little topic here I'm calling community updates or community events or community something. This is where I want to talk about my various communities, whatever they may be or whatever I'm doing. When I put a show together, it occurred to me that I interact with a lot of people in a lot of different places, and I lose track of it sometimes. And I hope that it doesn't come across to people like I'm ignoring them or I don't care about them or a platform or something. I've just got so much going on. And that's why an update video like this and a monthly update video like this seems like a good idea. There's people that are interested in what Egee is doing can tune in and find out. So here for this one, the format for this segment might change, but I want to talk about my communities such as EGIO, my Flufferschnoots, and even Distro Delves. That's right. I don't think everybody that watched the show realized that there is an actual GitHub repo with tickets, and there used to be a project that I deprecated a while ago, but it's all for tracking the show. I stopped using it about a year ago. Well, not a year ago, probably longer than that. But I've wanted to get back on board with it for a while, and I know I've been saying that for a while, but I'll get to it hopefully in the next month or two. But I've got all these issues that you guys have submitted, and I mean, for all intents and purposes, it's a community here. I recognize those names, and people are like the same people are submitting different distros, and that tells me that you guys are invested in it and you want me to look at it, and I want that. I like the community aspect of it. Part of the problem that I have, I didn't use this to its full potential because it takes a lot of my time to vet these issues. And I know that you put time into writing them. I created the template and I can see people use it, and that's fantastic. But a lot of times people submit these really boutique distros that I would love to look at. Getting them running isn't always easy. So I spent a lot of time fighting with them, and it winds up eating up the time I would make an episode. So if I could find a way to vet those or have someone vet them for me, that would be awesome. I don't know how. It could be a channel in the Discord or something like that, but I don't know. Maybe we'll find out over the next couple months. Speaking of channels in EGIO, yeah, the Discord server, it recently became a Discord community server. And that's because I'm looking at ways to raise money to help support the servers. And I looked at YouTube channel memberships, and we'll talk about that later, but yeah, we've got a whole bunch of channels. So, I mean, there's lots of stuff that people who are engaged with EG content can enjoy, or people who aren't engaged with EG content can enjoy. It's just kind of a community. Take, for example, our Minecraft server. I streamed the Minecraft server on the ASMR channel. We had a huge influx of friends and fans, and they built some of the coolest stuff I've ever seen. There's a huge EG mural. We've got like a whole city with ships and stuff going, and that's just people that want to join and do builds. So I guess the server is a build server, but it's really cool, and you guys build cool stuff, and I want to feature it. But besides Minecraft, I was hoping to get a Project Zomboid server up and going, and to be honest, I probably won't because there's only about a month of October left, but I really wanted to. We had a Conan Exiles server up it probably went down last month. It's not like down, but it's not active. It's a pretty big server, so I don't love to leave that running unless people are playing on it. But it was up all during the summer, and I'd love to bring that up if people were interested. We have our TF2 server, which I'm hoping to hop on. I think it's a crime that we haven't done any of the Halloween events. So I think that we need to rally the Flufferschnoots in EGIO, get some events going on. I mentioned before, we talked about 7 days, that I used to play with friends on a server, and I haven't this year. Well, I have, but we didn't play for long because it's just not very fun. So I don't know I probably won't host a 7 day server. Like, what am I saying? There's no demand for it. I don't want to play it. Probably not going to do that. I think that's all the EGIO stuff. I mentioned the Discord community and Discord subscriptions that I'm thinking of. That goes along with the community thing, trying to raise money for the servers. Might do memberships, yeah. So now let's talk about my Flufferschnoots, my supporters and Flufferschnoots. I've got a couple of game nights in the supporter Discord. Well, we've had some. We played Overcooked, we played Observation Duty, and Armello, that cute Anthro board game. Oh, and I'm planning an event. This could be just EG community stuff, but I'm planning an event on Tower Unite, where I will be hosting a house party at BFEG's apartment. So if you are tuned into the ASMR channel and you watch or listen to the role plays, the scene for BFEG, it takes place in his apartment, in his flat, and you can go there. It's a condo in Tower Unite. It's really, really cool. Merlin put it together for me, and we're probably going to do a house party or flat party, whatever, Halloween party next week. And the condo will probably be public. I'll announce it someplace, and maybe we can get some fun, Tower Unite events going and just have a good old time. And the last thing for this segment is about live streams, because I know you all love them. ASMR EG loves them, and EG's Hobbies love them, and I love them. The people voted overwhelmingly for Friday, so I will be moving the Sunday stream to Friday at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, and I plan to go on for a couple hours at that time. So this leaves the Sunday stream, the Sunday time slot open for other streams, since I can make 9 a.m. work. It just might end up being shorter and less experimental. So I've wanted to do live ASMR streams where it's not just gaming, it's like actually like my set. And there's no way I could do that during the day. So at 7:30 at night, yeah, I could pull that off. So what do we do with the Sunday time slot? It probably won't be a regular thing, but I bet we could do subscriber only or supporter only streams. Or we could sometimes do some streams on this channel, do OG Distro Delves or something. I know you guys like that. Oh boy, so that wraps up. What sections have we gone through? We've gone through the intro, Egee's the channel updates. We've gone through Egee's personal updates. We've gone through the gaming log segment, and we just made it through the community segment. So next up is tech and gaming news, really just industry news. I'll admit I haven't been keeping up with the latest tech industry trends and things like that. I've been kind of keeping up with gaming, but not so much tech and definitely not coding. We're not going to get too much into coding here. We're just going to kind of brush against tech and brush a little bit against gaming, but I don't know how this segment is going to shake out. So in a way, it's almost like news on topics that are interesting to Egee. But if I had to put a name on it, I guess it's just tech and gaming. So let's go. Raspberry Pi 5 started shipping. So the Raspberry Pi 5, I have a Raspberry Pi 4, I want to say, 4B or something like that. So I'm a bit behind the times. Raspberry Pi 5 started shipping to folks that pre-ordered. So these are specifically pre-orders that have begun shipping, and it's for subscribers of the Magpie and Hackspace magazines. So I'm not really sure how pre-ordering worked, but it's starting to ship, and I'm really happy to hear that the Raspberry Pi company is alive and well. I mean, there's no reason why it wouldn't be, but I do recall some controversy around ownership or financing or something a few years ago, so if I'm missing something, just let me know. The production rates are going to be ramping up over the next month or two, and they expect to have them fully in stock and easy to buy by Christmas. Like I said, I haven't been keeping track of Raspberry Pi since my Raspberry Pi 4, but I do have some projects that are good candidates for Raspberry Pi, and one of them being the central bus for my car. I would love to, well, I don't know if that would be a Pi, though. It might be an Arduino. If I could make it work with a Pi, that would be really cool, because that would mean my car is at least somewhat powered by GNU Linux, which is geeky and dorky and cool. So, yeah. The Raspberry Pi 5 is basically the next in evolution of AArch64 single board machines, which is very cool. The next thing I want to look at is TuxClocker. TuxClocker 1.2 was released recently, and it's a tool that facilitates GPU overclocking on Linux. Version 1.2 now supports AMD devices as well as letting you mess around with Intel energy performance bias values, so there's kind of a lot going on in this release. So it's a tool that helps you overclock your GPU, but it has a GUI, which makes it a bit different than other tools. Back in the day, I made an old cringy video about FireGLRX, as I think it was called, is the old AMD proprietary driver. And it had a thing built into it that lets you overclock it. And back then, I was always running really low-spec stuff, so I needed to squeeze the most out of my machine through overclocking. So that tool was invaluable to me. I don't know why it's taken 10 years. You know, I don't mean that in a negative way. It just surprises me that it took 10 years for somebody to say, hey, maybe we should put a GUI on top of these tools like they do on Windows. I don't have any use for overclocking, and I run NVIDIA, and NVIDIA has its own method of overclocking with cool bits, and that's worked since forever. So it's only been AMD and Intel that you've had challenge overclocking, and this tool seems to fix that. XOrg gets a new feature. Glamor supports GLES3 shaders. So this is fascinating. This is pretty neat. Suddenly Xserver supports GLES shaders, GLES3 shaders. Yeah. Now for the obligatory, I thought X was dead. Yeah, seriously. I'm not a Wayland I wouldn't say I'm a defender or proponent. It's a protocol. It's another tool. I'm personally tired of people saying switch to Wayland when it's not 100% feature complete. And I think that it is hilarious that all of those people saying switch to Wayland, it's 100% feature complete. Just don't look at the stuff that isn't there. What? Okay. They always say, oh, X is dead. It can't, there's nobody maintaining it. The only thing that happens is critical fixes. You know where this is going. Clearly, that's not necessarily the case. I don't know the full story behind this commit. I just read it in a news article and followed up with the merge request. I mean, it looks legit. It's not just like a bug fix. It's a new feature, at least feature enhancement. So this kind of flies in the face of people saying that X is dead. Because if it was dead, then this would be like a bug fix or something. It wouldn't be a new feature? What? But this doesn't really change my opinion on X or Wayland. It just Like, it's more ammunition to fire back at the Wayland people. Like, you can be pro Wayland and just use it instead of making fun of people that use X, because there's still legitimate uses for it. Anyway, enough about that. Let's talk about Proton. Now, I don't have a Steam Deck, and I don't really have a use for it, so it would be a pretty expensive device for me to buy just to use for like some videos or something. I'm not like a portable gamer. If I'm outside, I'm out hiking or doing something that has nothing to do with technology, so I'm just not the user for it. I am, however, a user for Proton, like kind of. So I use Proton in Steam, but I don't use Glorious Eggroll because I don't have a use for it. Glorious Eggroll's, or Proton GE, I think, 8.21 was just released, and it has some fixes for FSR, some super resolution users, which is handy for Steam Deck owners. A lot of times I hear Glorious Eggroll's Proton being suggested for multiplayer stuff or screen resolution stuff. I haven't had to use it for multiplayer stuff. There might be a game where I use it. I have it, but I don't use it unless I have to. I almost always use Proton 8 point whatever, just vanilla. But I don't use Glorious Eggroll's Proton, but I'm really happy it's around. It reminds me of old wine projects, like, I don't know if you remember Wine 9 or some old wine projects that they didn't want to mainline because the wine maintainers said that it was code bloat. I don't know if that has changed or how these projects work in tandem, but it kind of feels like GE Proton is like an upstream for regular Proton, because there's like all these fixes for Steam Deck, and Proton is like Steam ships with its own version of Proton, so I wouldn't have these fixes. So my only thought is it must be an upstream. It's probably written down somewhere. I could just go out and find it, but I'm getting up to speed with this stuff, and maybe by the next podcast episode, I'll figure it all out. So let's talk about Counter-Strike 2. I actually wrote these notes calling it CSGO 2, but then I realized it's called Counter-Strike 2. And I have opinions on this. So it was released shortly. It was released at the beginning of this month, and right after it was released, they dropped support for macOS entirely. Now, I love to see it, not because I don't like macOS or I hate on macOS users, but because Apple had no business coming up with their own graphics API. Sure, it was open source or open standard or something, but like, why? They just wanted to control the marketplace. If Apple had won, they would have used Metal to control people and get them onto their ecosystem. Like, why wouldn't they? They're business. That's what they'd want to do. But the problem is how that affects us. That would screw us. We've got Vulkan, we've got DirectX, which you can use with DXVK and everything. So if Apple came out with their own API, we'd have to work with that. And of course, they'd probably be hostile. And unfortunately, that means that the Mac gamers are the ones that suffer. But I mean, like, it's Apple, and Apple doesn't really care too much. I mean, they're a business. They're in the business of making money. So if they want to pigeonhole their users and cut them out of the world of gaming, then they're not really going to care. There's not very many Mac gamers anyway. Now, granted, the same thing could have been said about Linux back in the day, but Linux is an open source community and Apple is run by a company, and they're two totally different goals, but I digress. Valve's wholesale replacement of OG CSGO was akin to Overwatch 2 in how Blizzard just replaced Overwatch with Overwatch 2, and I'm disappointed that Valve didn't get nearly as much crap as Blizzard did for that. Now, there's a lot of stuff going on with Activision and Blizzard, which kind of amped up the fire, and I don't know if Overwatch 2 is bigger than CSGO. I'm gonna guess no, but I do want to point out the fact that Steam just changed the name of CSGO to Counter-Strike 2 and left all of the reviews the same. Like, that's straight up deceptive. If you somehow came out of prison or something, somewhere where you weren't exposed to the gaming, like, news, like Gaming Network, and you just said, hey, I'm going to get into this new first-person shooter. It's called Counter-Strike 2. Wow, it has hundreds of thousands of reviews. It must be good. Those reviews are for a different game. Like Counter-Strike 2, CSGO, I guess, but it's not the same. And from what I've heard and read, the launch, there were some things that were botched, game modes were removed, the Linux performance was really bad. So, I mean, this is one of Valve's main games, and this is their publishing platform. And there's no way to look at it besides being deceptive. I mean, the reviews are for a different game. Would they let a third-party publisher do that? Honestly, I'm going to guess, yeah, they would, because they let games just live in early access. Like 7 days has been in alpha for I don't know how long. Like that is pushing scammer territory. And then you have games like Ark, which they're shutting down the servers and making you buy the next versions. Like, what is happening here? That's again, it seems deceptive, but Valve appears to be okay with that behavior. I don't know. I'm not impressed with it at all. And speaking of being unimpressed, let's talk about Ubuntu and the latest Ubuntu release. Now, am I impressed with Ubuntu? I don't really have any opinions on Ubuntu. This release was weird because it came out at the beginning of the month and then was immediately taken down. The reason why it was taken down wasn't because of malicious software, anything like that. No, it was vandalism. Like, seriously, apparently some third-party translation service sent over some offensive stuff in with a Ukrainian translation. Yep, that's right. And it's easy to say, oh, gee, why didn't anybody proofread it? Like, how did that slip into the release? Well, that third party, that's what they're supposed to do, right? Like, I guess Canonical Ubuntu are big targets because it's business, but it's free and open source software, and to do something like this is super, super scummy. Like, this community and third parties trusted to be a community and help out with translations and everything, and somebody slips in just some really offensive stuff, and like, what a drag. Way to ruin it for everybody. I guess they're handling translations different going forward, like they're in control of it, but man, that just sucks. Now let's talk about Paradox Interactive sells hairbrained schemes. I saw this pop up on Reddit, and then I saw it again on Gaming on Linux, and I had never really heard of hairbrained schemes, but I realized that I actually had. They're known for the Shadowrun games, and then they also just came out with Battletech, which is it's a strategy game. It looks really cool. But they were an indie dev company that was acquired by Paradox Interactive in 2018. And they came out with some games, and the big one that they came out recently was Lamplighters League, and it looks cool. But apparently the launch it doesn't sound like it was bad, it just was commercially unsuccessful. And I guess Paradox just runs with a very low risk tolerance and says, oh, that one game, you're gone. So they did some layoffs prior to this, but it sounds like Hairbrained Schemes is just being spun off, and they're going indie again. So they're not being shut down, they're just being like spun off. And yeah, the CEO had a pretty good statement about the whole thing. I'm not going to read it, but it's pretty wild to see that like they've had successful games and it just took one unsuccessful game and then boom, the company it's not axed, but like it's like getting fired. Next up, the Epic Store continues to be awful. Well, I guess it's like Epic continues to be awful. This doesn't really affect the store. It's more scummy behavior, kind of like Apple with Metal. Like they did something that served their own interests at the cost of their users, which the users are experiencing now. Epic's doing kind of the same thing. So on their website, they got this banner that says, boost your revenue share from 88% to 100% now on Epic. Okay, so this is Epic, the game store. Who is that message for? It's not for you or me. I mean, unless you're a developer. They're talking to publishers. They're trying to get publishers onto the platform. And the way that would work is they'd come onto the platform and they would have exclusive games. And you and me are the ones that lose there. Like, they've got this platform and they should be trying to get more users. They want you and me to use it because they want gamers there so developers can come for the market. But instead, they're doing it backwards. They're trying to get developers onto the platform with exclusive games so that we don't have any choice but to use them. So let's say they get their way and they have an exclusive platform. Then what? They control the marketplace and they can jack the prices up. They can crawl over your machine and take all your data like they apparently do. Like, wow, that is awful. Something that's a little awful, or I mean, it's actually awful depending on how you look at it. The CEO of Unity is out. This feels like old news at this point. This was like a zeitgeist. It was such a big deal in the gaming space for a while, and then the CEO left, and I heard that Unity rolled their changes back, but then other people are saying they didn't. I'm not even sure what's going on. But I just want to talk about the CEO, John Riccitiello. No, I think it's Riccitiello. So the guy's getting a lot of hate, and it's really easy to hate on a single person. But he's a tool. Like he's literally a tool. He was hired by the shareholders to increase money or increase the revenue, the income, right? So this guy has a reputation of coming in and trying to squeeze as much blood out of that stone as they can get. So they come up with this crazy pricing scheme that honestly, it wasn't terrible. Like people didn't like it. I mean, you're free not to like it. It's fine. But like really, it wasn't that bad. But people freaked out, and that's fine. But it was so bad that the dude just like, he bailed out. I guess they reversed some of the changes or most of them, whatever. And then he stepped out. He's no longer CEO. And it sounds like he's just like gone. So you have the shareholders that go out headhunting. They find this shark. They bring him in. He makes a decision. It blows up. Either, I don't know if they fired him, pressured him out, or he just left out of humiliation. Either way, it's a shitty situation because, again, the shareholders they don't care about the customers. I don't know what happened, but like businesses just stopped caring about their customers. In this case, the customers could be developers, they could be gamers like you and me, but they're trying to squeeze more money out of the developer customers that they already have. Like these people have bought into Unity and then they're going to turn around and knife them in the back for more money. Like somebody came up with that scheme and thought it was good enough to do it. Like they really thought that they had a strong enough place in the market that they could do that and just like completely screw their customers. And that seems to be a reoccurring thing. So a part of me is glad to see that it failed, but a bigger part of me is sad to see that it happened even at all. And it's probably not the last time, so All right, let's talk about Microsoft. We got a couple posts, articles about Microsoft. First, they made a tutorial for Linux. And of course, some people blew up about it in a good way and a bad way. Microsoft has been doing open source for a long time. I don't know why this is such a surprise to people. The biggest thing that stood out to me is that the tutorial, and it's not just like a WSL tutorial, it's like a full-blown, you want to install it on Windows, you want to install it on a VM, you want to install it on Azure, all over the place. But the example that they gave for installing it on a computer was Ubuntu. So I'm thinking they must likely have had a partnership or agreement with Canonical to be like, hey, it's possible that whoever wrote the article, it was just like a free opinion article. I'm not really sure, but that was interesting that they picked Ubuntu. Was it surprising? No, but Microsoft could have come up with their own distro or something. That seems more like something that they would do. But, people always bring up embrace, extend, extinguish. And I'm pretty sure that the current CEO of Microsoft has been CEO for longer than Ballmer was, who coined that phrase. And I'm not even sure if that was actually him. I think it was like reporter, rumor, or something like that. But that is such a ridiculous idea. And if Microsoft's long-term plan that has endured through several CEOs, apparently, if their long-term plan is to embrace Linux, extend it, and then kill it, this is the longest con that there's been, and they're losing because Linux is becoming more and more, in some measurements, Android is Linux, and it's humongous. So they've already lost this battle. Microsoft coming out with a tutorial is interesting, but, is it news? Not to me, but to some people, yeah, it's a thing. Another piece of Microsoft news is that they ate up Activision. What a journey. I don't think most people realize just how old Activision is. Like one of the oldest, not the oldest game company, but it was a big company in the 80s. So it's endured, it's acquired, it's apparently now been acquired. So when I first started reading it, I went into it assuming that they were gonna the Activision was gone, but of course not. They have some serious brand power. They wouldn't just squash the name. So it's just Microsoft and Activision. Kind of like how it was Activision Blizzard. Activision's not just going to kill Blizzard off. That'd be ridiculous. But it's interesting. Microsoft had Microsoft Game Studios did they have them in the 90s? They made some really good games in the 2000s, and then it just kind of faded out. Actually, I think Forza started from Microsoft Game Studios, if I'm not mistaken. But I guess in a way, it seems like a pretty good relationship for Activision to marry Microsoft. But this is an example of market consolidation, and it's it's never a good thing for the consumers, honestly. That means that there's less competition in the marketplace, and there's arguably less innovation because now you have two previous competitors now working under the same umbrella, and I don't think that they'll have the same kind of different ideas. So instead of competitors coming up with different ideas on their own, now one's a subsidy, and it might be like, oh, we're coming up with a game. Hey, Microsoft, do you have some assets we can use? And then now everything just is kind of painted with the same brush, if that makes sense. That's happened with other companies, so I imagine it'll happen here. It's just a matter of time because it's a cost saving technique, like you want to share assets, share development resources or whatever, and ultimately the quality of the product goes down. But if it saves them money and therefore makes them money in the long term, then that's what they're going to do. And now let's wrap this segment up with some good news. There's a new Slimbook Ultra out with Fedora. This appears to be an official collaboration between the Fedora project and Slimbook, which is really super, super cool. A lot of people might look at something like this or any laptop or machine pre-installed with Linux and be like, why? And it's unfortunate that people look at it that way because there's so many reasons why you would want that. A challenge with Linux sometimes is the hardware that you're installing it on. Actually, not just sometimes. If it's a portable device, such as a laptop or something like that, a Nook, a small mini computer, a lot of times you fight with compatibility with drivers and things. So if you buy a laptop with the distro pre-installed, you can rest assured that all of the drivers are going to work right. Like you paid for it, and plus you could get support. So if you come across something and the driver's jacked up, you can message support and get something worked out. And also, the laptop, the keyboard is going to have a little Fedora symbol on it. And that's a cool logo. It's a cool touch. I like it. It's a selling point for me. So yeah. I know that shipping laptops with companies that make laptops, System 76, for example, those aren't a new thing, but I love to see more of them. And I love to see these collaborations. Fedora is a cool project, and I love to see it pre-installed. It's rad. And that's it. That's it for the news segment. So the last few segments are probably pretty short. So we're getting towards the end of this video, and it's going to be a long one, audio, if you're listening. It's a pretty long one. A lot of old radio shows that I like listening to sometimes had segments for people had questions. They want to ask something like that, or maybe just addressing things, usually towards the end. I think it might be fun in the future to reserve this spot to have somebody come onto the show or slip in an interview segment or something. I could just drop into Discord and have a conversation with somebody. I don't know. In lieu of that, we'll do a little Q&A or FAQ. I thought about taking questions, but I decided not to because I'm into this right now and I'm leaving it open. Maybe I will lose interest in this. I don't want to ask people to give me questions and then turn around and be like, actually I ran out of interest. I don't think it's going to happen, but I don't want to set myself up for failure. So I'm going to guess that people are going to ask, hey, Egee, what are you going to do next? And let me answer. I've got a video lined up for 7 Days and Insurgent Sea Sandstorm, which is another game I've been playing. Coincidentally, Insurgent Sea just came out with some DLC, and my short little video doesn't take into account for that. So I kind of have to wrap it up, otherwise it's going to become irrelevant really fast. But that might be the start of a new series. I'm tentatively in my head calling it Egee Plays, but it's not like a let's play. It's not like a review. I don't know what it might actually be just how to play the game. Not from a tutorial sense, but how to play the game and enjoy it. These are the things that I do that make the game more fun for me. Because I keep coming back. Let me tell you the things that I do to get the most enjoyment out of the game. That sounds like fun. I could make videos like that for all of the games that I like to play. I go back and play Alien Isolation. Let me tell you why. I could tell you exactly what I like about it. So I tend to do all of the things that I like all at once. So Distro Delves was a Linux distro review show. And then at the end, it had some benchmarks. I kind of want to turn it into more of a 50-50 thing. So it's a review or overview of the distro and big benchmarks at the end, some good ones. Maybe even some comparisons, stuff that I've done before, but I've never really formalized. And I want to, because I think that that'll make it more of a commitment for me to do so that I'm not just, I'll do this thing and then I'll never get back to it. Now that might mean that the videos end up being really long, and I don't know how I feel about that. I'm okay with this video being long because I have an idea of how I'm going to edit it, but like a couple years ago, I made an Ubuntu versus Fedora video, I want to say. And that video was so miserable to me. It was one of the most like unpleasant editing experiences I've ever had. And a big part of it was the length. It was really technically difficult to edit, and it was like 27 minutes long. So I don't know if I want to do that again. I've got to find a way to make it easy and simple to edit. It can be long, but editing can't be a hellacious process. So I don't know. We'll see. And now let's answer a question around support. How to lend a hand, how to give me some support if that's what you want to do. A lot of people do. So viewer and audience support, your support is really what makes me make content. And that is primarily for the ASMR channel because I do weekly content, like more than weekly content there. And that's great. But for this channel, honestly, just watching it and leaving feedback is really, really great. That's the simplest thing you can do to show your support. I won't deny that monetary support can be a very motivating factor. And at this point in time, I have YouTube memberships going on for this channel, the Hobbies channel. It's just a tip jar. And I kind of want to see what the support is. I got a couple, I had memberships on during the summer and I got a few supporters, but both of them were from my ASMR channel. So you guys are precious. Thank you. I also plan to syndicate some of my content on Spotify and Apple Music, though I don't know if that will be I just read a thing that said Spotify is changing their monetization policies and making it so that you basically have to be pretty big to make any money at all, and I'll never be big on there, so I don't even know if it's worth it. It's kind of a hassle to syndicate to all these other platforms, so I don't even know if I'm going to. Sounds like a cool idea, but best way to support without subscribing or like becoming a member of Patreon or something is just using YouTube Premium. YouTube Premium helps everybody that you watch, and the support actually, it goes a long way. It's arguably more beneficial than sitting through ads, and it helps all of the content creators you watch. So I strongly recommend it. My main channel for support, not like YouTube channel, but my main support highway is Patreon. Now my Patreon is geared towards my other channel, and it's plus 18. It's mature. I do not say for work stuff once in a while, but it's more like the content matter is plus 18, and I don't want to have it's easier to say that is my target audience, and that's it. You can, of course, support me on my other channel, become a member over there. I'll get you access to all sorts of like videos and community posts and stuff like that. But there are a lot of different ways to support me. So it's up to you whether you do or whether you want to. But that's about it. That's about it for me anyway. So let's wrap up the show with you and some credits. The cute little Egee bust was made by an artist called Forrestor. I'm pretty sure I found them through Kelvin Shadewing, which is another friend and fan of mine, so thanks for that. Forrestor opens up for comms sometimes, and as of this video, it looks like he might just be open right now. So if you're interested, if you like this style, he does a lot of pixel style. Mine is just like a regular art non-pixel, I guess. But it's really good, and if you like it, you should go commission him. I also want to give a big thanks to Merlin for building out the Tower Unite condo, hosting it, and building the Tower Unite condo and all of the other just awesome stuff that she does. She ran a limited Yitch this month. It was a holiday themed one. Very, very nice, but it sold out super fast. So if you want a piece of her style, you got to go follow her. And of course, a big, huge special thanks to my Flufferschnoots, both on Patreon, but also in the YouTube membership and supporters everywhere. At the end of my ASMR videos, I do this cool credit scroll. I build the list out in GIMP and then animate the scroll in Kdenlive. It was really hard to figure out, but since my Flufferschnoots enjoy listening to me talk, I'm hoping that they will enjoy this podcast too. So here they are, my biggest supporters. Thanks everyone for watching and listening to this rambly wrap up, and special thanks if you've made it this far and you are still listening. I appreciate you a great, great deal, and I look forward to talking to you next month. Until then, bye-bye.